All right. Hashtag baseball only show. Joining me again, ladies and gentlemen, my co host, Fire Frank. Fire Frank. Fire Frank.
Hello, baseball fanatics. How you guys doing? Hopefully, well. We're never lax for news here on the program, so
No,
we've got a
no,
few
no,
things
no.
to talk about.
Um, Judge, jury, and executioner last night. Aaron Judge. Uh, Pretty much our show so far. We've had a update on Aaron Judge home run numbers. He is up to 49 after launching one in Oakland. Pretty much, around the area that he grew up, the local team, right? Oakland. Uh, he was the
Yeah,
only Yankee offense last night, which is concerning, especially
yeah,
after they scored 13 the night before. We need to see the bats be consistent. They're not consistent. The only consistent thing the whole year has been Judge offensively, and that was the microcosm that happened last night. All
yeah,
three runs are Judge. Garrett Cole, 11 strikeouts. Pretty dominating stuff besides the home run that he gave up. Frank,
yeah,
walk us through.
yeah. So obviously, we talk about Judge. The first game of the series, they scored 13 runs without any homers, and I know Judge. I think he had an RBI ground out. Obviously, we had Stanton return. He immediately made an impact in that first game. Last night was, like you said, was we're recording on Saturday, so last night's game in Oakland was a little concerning, more than a little concerning, like you said, with the offense disappearing. The only thing that's been consistent besides Judge, um, I know the last couple of nights we've seen Cabrera, the rookie, he's been hitting. He had another multi-hit game yesterday. We had Donaldson's looked good so this past couple of days. We had Jose Trevino leave the game late last night. He got hit in the foot by a pitch.
Yep.
X-rays are negative, so we'll see. Obviously, I don't think he'll play today. When they asked Boone what would they do at catcher, he said they would actually use Connor Falefa as a backup since he was a catcher, which is odd. So I
Very
guess
odd.
well they must not expect this to be like a more than a day or two off because if it was, they'd have to call somebody else up. Obviously, maybe Rourke Vet or somebody if he's still alive.
He's still alive. Yeah, and obviously
I think I still started to think he's like a hologram at this point.
they wouldn't call up Austin Wells because he's not on
No,
the 40 man. So
absolutely not. Yeah, the Cole obviously a good matchup for him to say the least. Oakland doesn't really have a lot of threats anymore. The home run he gives up to a guy is his first career homer, so good for him. He was attacking the zone all night long. Early on, I think the second inning he struggled a little bit, but after that he settled down. He was pretty much just mowing people down. Got a little interesting at the end. Cole did give up a home run. They sent him back out for the eighth when he was already over 105 pitches, which was strange to me. Boone trying to steal outs again. He doesn't trust his bullpen clearly, considering we're using Peralta to close it out again, which was a matchup thing. Although it was immediately kind of messed up because he pinched it all righties. He gave a run, but he got the last couple 2 outs, so all was okay. But they've won 5 in a row suddenly after struggling to win 1 in a row for the last 3 weeks. But yeah, it's a good way to start this tough West Coast road trip. It's always hard in Oakland. There's always struggle. So let's just hope they can at least win 3 out of 4 here. Go on to Anaheim. We got to get guys back healthy. There's good news on a lot of those fronts so far.
yeah,
So I mean, still a lot of issues. We know they haven't changed, but the team has shown a lot more fire in the last week. To use a pun here.
want me to show you something rather humorous that I just saw on MLB.com. So it's entitled Nine Prospects Who Could Help Teams Down the Stretch.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll bring up what I'm looking at right now. So does this gentleman who wrote this article know that this isn't going to happen? No matter what people think,
No,
this is not going to happen. We may
no.
want it to happen, but it's not going to happen. They've
You already
already
said
brought up.
double A.
They've already brought up Cabrera, and the Yankees are not the Braves. They're not going to have a guy skip over AAA completely.
Yeah.
They're not going to. I get it. They would have to add him to the 40-man too. So someone else would have to get DFA'd or whatever. They're not going to do it. I just don't understand why people write articles and they leave that analysis completely out of it.
It's just like a real fantasy booking here. I mean, they weren't even bringing Peraza up. They're going to bring up the guy from Double A, their top prospect right now.
It's like this whole article, I don't get it. I'm sitting there, I'm like,
do they know that they called up Cabrera? Like, where is this guy going to play? He's going to play. We're going to need 3 shortstops on the roster right now.
Well, even the Mets, they're not going to call up Francisco Alvarez.
No. Why would they? This is just like a lazy, like he looked up their prospects, who their big prospects are, and just said, okay, I'm going to put this in an article.
This was written by Jim Callis. And you can tweet him. Jim Callis, MLB. You could even show him a clip from this YouTube recording. Jim Callis, you could do better, sir. Yeah. You could do better. This stuff isn't going to happen. More could help contenders down the stretch. Below we present 9 candidates who could make a difference in September. It should be 9 options that are likely to help. I don't know. It just these people, man.
I don't know, man.
Journalism has gone down the toilet. I don't understand it at all.
Am I moving in slow motion here?
You?
I'm sorry, I don't know if it's my connection.
You're good.
Okay.
You're good, man. Who was on the Julio Rodriguez train from the jump? This guy here. Me.
Right here. Oh, this way.
Yeah, this guy. I even said he might be a 50-50 caliber player.
Yeah.
I've been saying that the Seattle Mariners need to lock this guy up. To the shock of many, but not me, did the Seattle Mariners already lock him up for the long term. Let me bring it up.
Long term and at actually a decent cost for them, considering what he's probably going to bring.
12 guaranteed years through the 2034 season, where he'll be 35. Basically, they could lock him up for the entirety of his career with this deal. So, kudos to them. It gives them the financial flexibility in the future to go out and add pieces around him or extend people that they've brought up or they want to keep that's currently on their major league roster or coming up through the organization. So hats off to the Mariners. And they don't usually spend the money. So for them to already spend the money on a person or a player that's played, not even a full major league season yet, speaks volumes to not only their projections of him, but MLB's projections of him and the front offices of other clubs where they're like, hey, let's just lock him up now. Worry about it later. Frank, your thoughts here on J-Rod?
Yeah, obviously, you were definitely calling on him more than 2 months ago, even before when there was word about him entering the home run derby, and then he put on a show.
I said for him to enter the home run derby.
Yeah, you said for him to. He did. He put on a show so good that people are Probably even now thinking that he won the thing, even though he didn't.
Oh, I mean, I even said it on the show last time. I was like, and he defends his home run. I'm like, wait a minute, he didn't win it.
He win. But yeah, I mean, we're seeing this trend. We saw the Braves just do it.
Yep.
They're locking up people young. And then in this case, this guy's a potential, if not already, a superstar type player. So to lock him up at a cost-controlled contract like that for that long, like you said, giving them the flexibility to go out and add pieces, this team, is in good shape.
Yep.
It's good to see. It's good to see Seattle do something like this.
Yeah, and also for me, this also doesn't rule out the possibility of something else that I've said on the show about Seattle. Why would we rule them out of getting Shohei Ohtani once he's officially a free agent?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that would be a great fit. It'd be a huge fit for them. They would get another starter. They get a power bat in the lineup with Julio. Obviously the Asian demographic that Seattle has in that area, him being Japanese, it would just. I know their attendance is up, but they will never have an attendance problem again having J-Rod and Shohei on the same club. It's a lot different than the situation we have going in Anaheim with the Los Angeles Angels.
Yeah.
I don't think we spoke much about. I mean, we did, but we'll bring it up again. The press release officially came out that they are exploring selling the Angels. This will be a great move for someone to step in and buy a franchise. If they can move the Angels out of, number one, that stadium is in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I think we discussed this. Yeah, you're right, and I still agree on that. They do have to get out of that stadium. And hey, I think you said it the other day, our last episode. Who's to say they can't move elsewhere?
We all think that the Oakland A's are a shoot in to get the Las Vegas spot when Las Vegas, because it's undoubtedly going to happen that Major League Baseball is going to put a team in Las Vegas. They've already seen the NHL and the NFL do it successfully. The NBA already has plans on putting a team in Vegas. MLB is going to follow suit. Even if there's not a stadium built, I'm sure Allegiant could hold baseball games in the interim until a baseball stadium is made. I would say Oakland and the Angels would be the relocation fits. What would be another city for an MLB team?
Let's see for MLB team. Well, you have. Let's see here. I'm trying to think of a good. What's a big baseball market that's untapped? I mean, besides the Rays moving to Tampa proper.
What about the Carolinas or something like that?
Yeah, Carolinas. Maybe. Yeah, I could see something like that. New Orleans. I don't know.
No.
Nah, maybe not. They're a football town. I'm thinking of different area. Let's see.
I would say the Carolinas.
Carolinas, yeah. Something like
you have, ACC baseball is really popular. They don't have an MLB team. That would probably be a good fit over there. What about Nashville?
Yeah, Tennessee. Yeah, Nashville. I could see that. Memphis, maybe. Nashville probably better. But yeah.
You guys comment if you guys have a.
I think they would do well in this area, to be honest.
That would support an MLB team. Please let us know.
I mean, we've seen some of these places, they support their college sports, like you said, so I can see a major league franchise being a thing.
And it's weird to me that at one time Montreal supported their team, and then they stopped. But who's to say? It's really weird to me that Montreal hasn't been talked about getting a baseball team back there either. I don't know. But the Angels need to do something. They need a new owner. They need some new blood. Moreno was never shy about spending money. He just spent it foolishly. They put really bad
A lot of bad contracts.
baseball. Well, it could be on the ownership. Billy Epler was the GM there. Jerry DePito, like they've had actually like really good names go there as executives, and they haven't worked. They didn't work out. Maybe the owner is the issue. The owner's like, hey,
Maybe.
let's sign this big name free agent over developing our, you know, farm system or our pitching. I think with the Angels, the number one thing over the recurring theme is their pitching. Probably over the last 12 to 15,
Yeah.
like the last homegrown Angels pitcher that came out and was productive. There was two of them. You had Jared Weaver
Mm-hmm.
and you had CJ Wilson.
Right.
Jared Weaver was a really top line starter for about 5 or 6 years. Injuries like really took him out of the game. CJ Wilson developed into a really nice pitcher, then signed a free agency deal with Texas. And then ever since then, they've had guys here or there. They had Garrett Richards. They had Irvin Santana at one point, but they haven't developed
Lackey.
like a top line guy in a long time. And for that matter, I get it. Shohei's a pitcher. That's fine. So someone's going to comment, well, they have Otani. But you're asking him to do a lot by doing both.
Yeah.
There needs to be a complementary piece there. They've never found the ace. The ace. And when they go out in free agency, they sign a big bat, and it just hasn't worked out. Anthony Rendon's basically been injured his entire Angels career. Albert Pujols was very consistent as an Angel to the point where, he got DFA'd. That the organization needs an overhaul, and it starts with the ownership. Moreno can make probably $4 or $5 billion selling the Angels right now. In spite of them having probably the worst location for a stadium in the majors, there's literally nothing around that entire area. They're better off trying to get a stadium closer to Disney, because then at least it would be a destination spot. And I'm sure that there's plenty of land, or even land that Disney can give them. Just have the Angels.
Yeah.
I would literally, if I was the owner or potential owner of the Angels, and it's funny because Disney used to own the Angels, I would call up Disney and be like, hey, what would you say about having the Angels on your property?
Mm-hmm.
To me, it sounds like a no-brainer. What do you think?
Yeah, that's interesting. That's an interesting thought. Yeah, I know. As someone I think I mentioned before, I've been to a couple games at that stadium. So yeah, not the best locations. Nice stadium. It's old, very nice,
Yeah.
but bad location. Now, like you said, putting it close to Disney or even in part of that area would be it seems like a no-brainer for both of them. It's a destination. People might come to stay at the park and hey, let's go to a baseball game. The Yankees are in town tonight.
I don't want to hear about
Whatever.
traffic. Traffic in California is horrible anyways.
Yeah.
So, especially in that
It's
area.
yeah. I mean, it seems like a win-win. You draw more people. If they're coming to stay for a week, they might go spend money at the baseball game. They might go to Disneyland. They might go to their other park that's attached to it. So yeah, something out of the box like that kind of thinking would probably help their attendance. and a new owner would that actually spent money wisely, obviously, would
Yeah.
help a ton as well. I mean, when's the last time the Angels, like you said about pitching, they sign all these free agent hitters. But when's the last time they had a big? I know besides Otani, who's the last big free agent pitcher they were signing? I know they were supposedly in on Cole. There was a rumor that he wanted to go there, and then
Oh
I
yeah.
don't think that was ever. That was like the only other team that
They
was
were
in on it.
also in on Sabathia.
Yeah, they were in on. There was like, oh, he's going to go because he's a California guy. Yeah, but nothing really serious. I mean, they said it, but nothing came close as far as we know.
Yep.
So he spent money just not on the right things all the time. So
No.
it's just much like we said with the Met. What happened with the Mets? Once you sell someone to someone who's not only has the money but also has the know-how, and it's a no-brainer, man. Them and the A's. Like I said, it's time. I wouldn't be upset if they got sold to someone that actually has an idea what they're doing instead of just we're going to get rid of all our veterans and anyone making any kind of money.
There's too many teams that have ownership.
Yeah.
If you look up the net worth of an MLB owner, okay, and they all should be billionaires, and they all are. But we have now more billionaires than ever that actually have more money than the billionaire owners in baseball. I would like to see a few of these teams go up for sale, so we can get some of the new money billionaires in here.
Oh yeah.
Like, look at a franchise in the NBA, right? Look at the Golden State Warriors.
Right.
But as an example, the Golden State Warriors were pretty much, I'm probably going to offend some people. They were a laughingstock for a long time. Then they got their new Silicon Valley owners that were very smart people. They put together an infrastructure and a winning culture, and they're a juggernaut now. And by the way, in the NBA, there's a hard cap or a soft cap, and they go over the luxury tax so much so that they spent like $400 million just on salary because they had the penalty.
Right.
And they're not afraid. You know why? Because they have enough extra cash to afford to win.
Mm-hmm.
And in the process, it's good for the sport and it's good for the game of basketball. The ratings go up because you have a dynasty team.
Yeah.
You have players all in the same team that people want to see. When Golden State travels, they sell out the arenas that they're going to, right? And same thing for baseball. If you have owners that are willing to spend the money, put a good product on the field, what happens? Your attendance goes up. People wear your merchandise. They drink more beer. They have more soda. They have more hot dogs. Your ratings go up. The attendance goes up in the other venues. Frank, what do you think here?
Yeah, honestly, it makes me sick how many of these baseball team owners are just they've got money, like you said. They're just happy taking whatever money they're taking in, and they don't want to spend anything, and they're writing off whatever they can write off. It's just so unfortunate. You got too many teams in permanent tank mode. We've talked a lot about the Orioles this year, them turning it around, but we still don't trust their ownership to actually build upon this. And it's a shame. It doesn't make any sense. Like you said, winning, like you sell on winning. The Yankees sell their history.
Yeah.
Like if you don't have a history to sell, it's tough to sell people on coming to the stadium. If you can't at least have a competitive team on the field, where obviously you're always going to have your teams that aren't doing so well, but it's ridiculous to see. And I would like to see some, like you said, some of these maybe new money billionaires, some of these guys to come into the baseball realm. We've seen what Cuban has done in the NBA. We've seen other people that have multiple ownerships. I'd like to see some of these guys spend money on baseball.
You have like Bezos and
I'm surprised you haven't heard anything about him getting involved with something. Just maybe out of boredom, even. You have all this money, you got to do something.
You have the Bezos, you have Elon Musk, you have the Waldens, the
Yeah,
Walden family, okay, who bought the Broncos recently.
yeah.
To me, it doesn't make sense when you have all these old money owners in a sport that the audience, as we've said on the show, doesn't appeal to a younger crowd anymore. It really doesn't.
We need to.
Um, thankfully, this commissioner seems like he's trying to get the youth back involved with the game. Um, I do have pulled up because we went on a whole tangent. Uh, the contract language for Julio Rodriguez.
Okay.
It's pretty convoluted, but let's try to break it down here. So obviously, this is a great day for me, for my family and me. Yeah, me too. It would be a great day. So it's worth, no matter what, $210 million guaranteed, and carries the possibility of maxing out as the longest and largest in MLB history at $470 million. Based on a variety of player and team options, it can be worth 7, 12, 15, or 17 years beyond the 2022 season. The base is for 7 years and 105 million beginning next year, plus a 15 million signing bonus taking him through the 2029 season. But after 2028, the Mariners must determine whether to pick up a club option that is dependent on Rodriguez's performance in AL MVP award voting. The first club option, and at any time you want me to stop, let me know. The first club option is for 8 or 10 years and ranges from 200 million to 350 million based on MVP balloting, whether Rodriguez wins and where he finishes in the preceding seasons. If Seattle exercises its club option, the guaranteed value reaches 320 million and could possibly push as high as 470 million. The largest contract by total value in MLB history is the 12-year, $426.5 million deal that Mike Trout signed with the Angels in 2019. This is a lot. So at any point you can chime in.
I mean, I would just say off the bat, just like that base. I mean, that base isn't a bad deal for Seattle at all. It's actually a pretty good discount,
Yep.
even if he just plays those 8 years and it doesn't play again. I mean, even and for him for J Rod himself,
It's good
it's
because he'll make less in
yeah,
arbitration.
he'll make less in arbitration, and he's making more regardless of what happens. So no matter what happens to him in the next couple of years, he'll make this guaranteed money. Like that's good insurance for a young player. Like, hey, anything can happen these days. If something goes wrong, I'm going to make this amount of money for this many years, even if I don't, ever get to that second level. But if I do, and I do become, in the MVP race or anything like that, more money for him.
Yep.
It's a good thing. It's something that I really wish the Yankees would have done with Judge after his rookie season. Maybe not 12 years, but something similar. This is the kind of stuff you got to do when these guys, it's.
Well, they could have done the 12-year because
they could have done anything. I think I was saying it back
he was
then.
only 25. So
I think we may even
if we sign into a 6-year deal this year, guess what? You know what that is? It's a 12-year deal.
Same difference. You're right. So we could have done this 5 years ago and even be out of the case. I think you probably even suggested that back then. But see, this is the smart stuff to do because if you look at this, if they don't pick up this option after 7th season, he can exercise his own option for 5. So if they said, "Oh, we don't want you anymore," but he wants to stay, he can then literally automatically get another 5 years and 90 million added on plus incentives. And even if he doesn't, it says he could turn it down and reach free agency before turning 30 and make even more money if he's doing that well. So it's like good for both sides here.
There's incentives. There's the ability to make more money.
Yeah.
To me, it's a win-win.
So even if he becomes out to be, even if he doesn't come out to be like this MVP level player, he's going to make good money. He's going to be around for a while. It's good for him. Insurance for him and for the team. They have it's cheaper than it would have been if they waited to reach free agency, going through arbitration, all that. and then if it doesn't work out, they can
And,
move
and
on then.
guess what? This is what I've said for years now. Pay for performance.
Yeah,
You're paying for performance. You're not paying based on past performance. You're
which is a
paying
good thing.
for performance, right?
Yeah, I think
Because
this is the yeah. Go ahead. I would say this is probably like the future of pro contracts in most sports. I can see sports like stuff like this happening.
well, Wander Franco last year, he signed a similar,
Yeah,
like not as much money as this,
yeah,
but he signed a
very
similar
similar.
extension with Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay has been kind of the flag wavers or flag bearers of locking up a player that they deem to be
Yeah,
special really early on, because they also did it many moons ago with Evan Longoria.
right. They locked him up right away, right?
So much so that he's still on that contract
Still on that contract. Yeah, please.
with the Giants towards
Crazy.
the pretty much like the last legs of his career.
Yeah.
I think this probably is his last year playing professional baseball. So he had basically one contract his entire year. He
Yeah.
was happy to sign it, and a
It
lot
worked
of
out
these
well
guys
for him.
are. And obviously, you had Fernando Tatis signed a similar contract, and
I've seen this a lot.
that may or may not work out. I think it was still will. Obviously, speaking of contracts and Tatis, Adidas dropped them, which is to be expected.
Yeah.
Uh, so my thing is, let's take out the steroids, right? Let's take out that. When a person hasn't played for a year and he's not going to play the whole entire year, and now with the suspension, he's going to be suspended for games next
Next
year.
year too. Yeah.
They had to do what they had to do with in terms of the contract, but again, this is what happens when you invest money into someone. It's I'll make the analogy
Yeah.
because we just recorded a pro wrestling show,
Yeah.
and I don't know if our audience crosses over that much, but is Fernando Tatis Jr. and Sammy Guevara it's like a good example of
Yeah.
immaturity here.
Very similar.
Like they
Down
just
to down to the saying stupid things after the fact, making it worse.
yeah, they add fuel to the fire. Tatis finally had a sit down thing where he apologized. I really think in this offseason, I wouldn't rule out the possibility of Tatis getting traded.
Mm.
What do you feel about that?
Yeah. Actually, that's more possible than many people might be thinking right now. With the Soto trade, I know the same position, but I'm just saying, as far as face, like they had their face of the franchise, now they have somebody else who can be that, even though he's 3 years. I can see that. I don't know where he would go, but again, there'd be plenty of teams that would be interested in trading for him, even knowing that he's not going to be able to play the full season next year. But he's got 80 games, so that's going to be like a month or two into the season. He'll be able to come back next year. So, yeah, I mean, even with the way that contract is structured, a lot of people will be willing to take that on.
He's probably suspended. It depends on how long the Padres go in the playoffs.
But yeah,
he's probably going to miss at least.
This is true. I didn't think about
30 to 40 games next year.
Mm-hmm. And so he won't have played baseball for almost going on 2 years, right? Year and a half. So that's another thing to be wondering how well he's going to do after missing some time. As far as the sponsorship, that's obvious. That's going to happen. It's in the moment. We know how things go when there's a scandal. It's in the moment. It's not to say he won't be able to do something in the future as long as he keeps his act together. Hopefully,
I'll pull up an interesting little from Baseball Reference. This is his salaries per season.
Okay.
This is why you would want to trade for him now, if you're a team, and why the Padres could still get a lot for him on the open market in spite of the suspension. Let's take a look at this contract. So next season, Fernando Tatis Jr. only makes $7.7 million. So a team that's looking to get production, right, would only count against the hard cap $7.7 million. The next year, 11, 20, 20, 25, 25. He really doesn't get paid top dollar contract wise until age 30 season in 2029. And by that time, if he performs to the levels of his last season, where in 2021, 42 homers, 97 RBIs, top three MVP finish, the $36 million a year is going to look like a bargain. So that's why I think there's still value there. If the organization has soured on him as putting him as the face of the franchise and the leader because of the immaturity, I think they should try to move him. I think this is a very easy deal for other teams to take on as well. What do you think after looking at the way his contract breaks down?
Yeah, I mean, like you just said, it wouldn't be until he turns 30 that he'd be making like big money. So you can actually have him for the next five. What? How old is he now? So it's
He's
like
23. So
23. So next 6 years, say,
yeah,
you could have him at a reasonable price
mm-hmm.
in his prime. If you're betting on him coming back and being able to bounce back, which he should be able to, knowing his skill set. Obviously, there's always going to be a risk with a suspension, but as we've seen in the past, that doesn't mean it's going to stop teams from going after people. So, yeah,
I wouldn't rule out.
What do you think about
the Yankees getting him? I wouldn't rule out the Mets getting him. I wouldn't rule out a team like
Toronto. No,
not Toronto.
Red Sox.
The Red Sox are weird.
Everybody, so they're always going to be in a conversation. But
even a team like the Marlins, like they could afford to take on that contract, and by the time he hits 30, they could trade him
again. Yeah,
so
anybody can afford that right now. Making $7 million. I mean, that's Aaron Hicks is making $10 million a year. I mean, come on, $7 million.
That's what I'm saying. Like New York would hate it, but I still have this feeling that Judge isn't going to be Yankee. Who's to say they don't turn around and make a deal for Tatis
to be the new guy?
To be
there. Cheap. It keeps it under, and all the money coming off the books is very cheap for them. Yeah, I know you said New York would hate it until he produced, and they would stop hating it, and then everybody else would hate it.
And again, do you want a guy that is already facing a huge amount of media scrutiny in the Big Apple? Probably not. But
especially after his injury that happened because of an accident. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
it's not a good look. That'd be scrutinized. But again, many teams would be attracted to him because of that contract, like you just said.
Yep.
So this is very possible if they recited it.
Houston,
yeah, he can fit in pretty much anywhere for that. Is it $7 million? I mean, $7 million, anybody could take that on.
Even the Twins.
The Twins could easily take that on.
The White Sox could go. You know what? We traded this kid.
Yeah.
We shouldn't have traded him. We want him back.
I mean, the Padres could get a haul back to kind of replenish all the farm system they've kind of gotten rid of over these last couple trades they've made. So, yeah, very possible. We'll see in the offseason what goes on, but
yeah, and comment down below if you think that Tatis is a possible trade candidate in the offseason.
Yes.
Are we crazy? Where do you see the Angels going? Do you think they're going to move? What's their issues? Oakland, are they a shoe-in for Vegas? Aaron Judge, how many homers does he end up with? Last but not least here, Frank.
Yes.
Before we sign off, I think we'll ask this for every show that we do until we hit the postseason.
Mm-hmm.
Well, even in the postseason, I guess we could still do this.
Yeah.
Right now, what's your World Series prediction?
Ooh, right now, put me on the spot. Okay.
Or I can
Right
go.
now,
I can go if you want.
I'll. All right. In the AL, as much as I hate to say it, I'm going to go Astros. Um, as far as the National League, we've talked about the Mets and their pitching, making them possible favorite. The Dodgers always be favored. I'm going to be different right now.
I think I know where you're going.
You know where I'm going with this. I'm at the moment. I could be sniffing a trip for the Atlanta Braves to defend their championship.
I had a feeling you were going to go there.
The way as hot as they've been, still hot over the last month.
Yeah,
They're and the very deep team, got the experience, have the drive. So we know it doesn't necessarily mean anything in October, but we've seen with the Astros have consistently been in the ALCS, been in several World Series. It can happen. It's not easy to repeat anymore, but it's very possible, and it'd be kind of cool to see somebody defend their championship, which we haven't been able to see lately. So I'll just say that for now. I'm going a rematch of last year's World Series, I guess. I won't say who I think will win this time.
Yeah.
I guess we're going with a rematch, but
I mean,
what do you think?
But this time, the Astros will have Verlander.
Yes. So that could be they could push it their way, as much as we hate to see it.
So my prediction, and I don't think I've had the Yankees in the World Series this entire time we've done this show.
Are you going to put them in there now?
No. It's gonna, in my opinion, it's the Astros, especially considering the Yankees fell out of the home field throughout.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's the most concerning thing, is having to play Houston in Houston.
I mean, we've seen weird things before, right? But so anything's possible.
Yeah, and having to win games there, it's tough.
We would love to see it. I'm not counting completely out. I know my dad promised us 2 months ago, or when they were still hot, he said they're going to the World Series. He said he can't change it now. So if you want to know what Fire Senior has to say, he's still picking the Yanks. But what do you got? What do you got for me here?
So in the National League, I'm going to be steadfast with my prediction. I think the Mets pull it off. They go to the World Series.
I can see it.
They've done a really nice job with DeGrom coming back. They haven't pushed him. Carrasco's pitched pretty well. The pitching behind them has been decent. The bullpen has been better. Pete Alonso's having a really underrated year. So is Lindor. I think that they can get it done. I'm not a believer in the Dodgers because of their pitching. They don't have the same frontline staff as they've had in the past. Their offense is phenomenal. But when you get to the postseason, good pitching beats good hitting. If the Mets were to play the Dodgers in a series, I think the Mets would pull it off. I actually, as we stand here today, I think the Mets will win the World Series. 6 or 7 games against Houston. And I wouldn't be surprised if... See, the Mets are a very interesting club because they're going to spend the money next year. This could be the start of like a Mets dynasty.
It could be. As much as that pains us to say. But not really. It's good. It's more of a personal thing, guys.
Yeah.
But it's not. They do have the capability, and because of the new ownership that they have the capability to keep it going. So
trust me, it pains me to say.
It's just so unnatural. I know.
The Astros and the Mets will be in the World Series. It doesn't come out there easy for me.
Yeah, and especially then we'll then be forced to Well, we'd be forced to root them anyway against the Astros, obviously.
Yeah.
But
With that
I don't
being
mind.
said, what's your World Series prediction?
Yeah, guys,
We'll
let us
ask
know.
this every single episode until we get a World Series winner, even.
Yeah, and then we can look back and laugh how we made these predictions, and the World Series is like Minnesota against the Padres or something ridiculous.
No, that would be weird. But
Yeah.
Fire Frank, thank you so much. JML here. As we sign off, please like, share, subscribe. We love
Thank you,
you.
guys.
Thank you so much for the support. 540 subscribers. Pretty awesome. Good night and good luck. We'll see you later. Farewell.